Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to the Soul Tribe Podcast, everybody. I am doing a solo episode today, so Lucia will not be joining me on this one. This will be a short one. I don't know if you guys heard, I don't know if it was the last episode or a couple episodes back where I mentioned that we're going to start doing here and there shorter episodes that could be pretty quick, just a topic or something that we go into or something that we just feel is important to talk about at the moment. It could be Akashic record related or not. But today I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of, really just chat about the power of our words. And obviously there's a power of it internally, 100%. But I want to talk about it in the external sense, because I think there's a lot of our energy that can really empower or disempower people, energetically speaking. So really this idea of like when we're saying, oh, poor this person or poor that person, or oh no, this is happening to them. In a sense, with our words and the energy we put in through our words, we can put them into the victim role and we can put them into a disempowered state. And the idea here is, and this is more of the work I've been seeing and feeling through family constellations and my own personal work through healing of self-empowerment, but also how I can do that for others in the work that I do and present and that I offer, right? And it's very unconscious many times, and I find myself saying, oh, like poor Lucia, or poor this or poor that. And obviously we're doing it not from like a place of trying to lower their vibration or their energy, but more it's from empathy sometimes, right? That makes sense. It's not that it's always coming from that place when we say it, but a lot of times when we do say that, we can unconsciously put them in this disempowered state. And everything that happens to us and everything we go through obviously is for a reason. So we know that there's this essence of allowing people to go through what they need to without having to interfere in that. We can accompany them. We can help them in the process in the sense of listening to them and giving them the emotional support that they need, but knowing that we're not there to fix everything, because I think that also doesn't allow people to show up for themselves and to do what they need to do. That's also a disempowerment. But more so in the words of like, oh, poor you or poor this. It's like, well, you've gotten to this point in your life. You know, this is the energy. I'm not saying that you're going to say this, but it's more like, wow, well, you've gotten yourself to this point in your life. You've been through this, and this. That's no small feat. Like, you've been through a lot and you're here. And I know you're going through a lot right now, but you're going to get through this. This is teaching you something. This is pushing you in the direction that you need to go. This is probably allowing you to let go of things that you need to let go of. This is allowing you to see what you need to see. This is allowing you to empower yourself. You got this, right? You got this. It's like this energy of we can have the sympathy and empathy, but never putting somebody with our words, especially I think in a disempowered state, because we don't give ourselves enough credit. I think even if we start to look back, we'll look at all the hardship and we'll look at all the difficulties, but we won't realize the amount of strength and just resilience that we have. And I did a whole video about this, or I think it was more a recording about this in the Patreon, the community, where I talk about our strength and our resilience and how we tap into that, because I think a lot of us don't realize that it's even there. And I think especially if we're in this very conscious state of trying to be there for the people around us or ourselves, we have to also make sure that we're not giving ourselves that energy of saying, okay, I know I'm going through a really rough time right now. Things feel really hard. This piled on top of this and this and this, and it just feels Like, how am I going to get through this? But reminding yourself that you've always been able to get through it. So why would this moment be any different, right? I think especially when we get into this very healing, energetically healing, some of us being healers ourselves or channelers, making sure that we're also tapping into that energy for other people, for them to be able to see that. Because sometimes we can't see that within ourselves, but somebody can show that to us, right? And I always try to make sure that people realize how far they've come, because you wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all the strength and how much you've really fought to be here. It doesn't matter how hard or easy, or how fast things happen or how slow things happen. It doesn't matter. It's more that you're here. That's the important thing. And what are you going to do with that? That's the empowerment, right? So we don't ever want to put somebody into this energy of victim role. Because I think sometimes unconsciously, this isn't even conscious, and I don't think any of us do that. And I mean, I'm guilty of this, right? I'm saying, oh, poor Lucia. It's like, no, Lucia's got this. Like, she's going to figure this out. This is going to be something she's going to get through, and she's going to look back and be like, wow, remember that time that this happened? I was so scared, but I got through it. We unconsciously will put somebody in that victim role by speaking those words, them being there or not. Everything's energetic, right? And I think it's just something that for all of us to be more conscious of. I think specifically this month, because I talked a little bit about the energy of August and September in the community, and a lot of us went through it in August. A lot of us. And I think the past episode that we did, we talked a little bit about the September energy as well, but we've been through it. We're still probably going through it a little bit now, but things are starting to settle a little bit. So this is where we start to really go inward, connect with that inner strength, and realize, like, I'm here. I'm moving through things. I'm not giving up. But not only not giving up, I'm going into it with the best energy that I can. And if I need support, I'll find it. If I need somebody to talk to, I'll find that person as well. But I'm going to make a conscious effort to not disempower myself or put myself in that victim role, because only we can pull ourselves out of that, right? Even if somebody were to say to us, wow, I'm so proud of you. But if we're already inwardly feeling that low vibration and insecurity and uncertainty within ourselves, of course, somebody coming and saying could feel a little bit better, but it's our inner work that helps us really connect with it. So in my kind of mind or belief or feeling, it's we can help people, right? It's not we're fixing it, but we can help people by showing that to them, by the words that we use, by how we resonate with their story, by how we respond to what they're saying to us. Because a lot of times we're like, wow, this must be so hard for you. I can't even imagine what you're going through, but wow, you're going to get through this. You've been through so much already. Like, how did you get here? Like, you can even ask somebody that, like, how did you get here? Like, what did you have to go through to find the strength? Like, how did you find the strength to get here? Do you realize the strength that you have? That's, and really with this beautiful curiosity, because I think a lot of people don't realize we don't really look at ourselves in that light. And I think this is where we can bring that awareness to somebody. It feels very, very important for a lot of people, especially as healers or channelers or anybody that's in the space of being able to allow people, like, it's like opening the window to that, right? And making them aware of that part of themselves that's there. We all have that. Every single one of us has that. And I think when we talk about disempowering people with our words, it's not even words, it's like specific words with specific like vibrations, right? It's, oh, poor Lucia, for example, like I was saying. It's like, no, I can have empathy and compassion for what she's going through, but I can also be like, you got this, right? Like I was saying. So making sure that we're not feeling that either for the person, like that victim role for them. It's like, no, they're not a victim. We're all going through something. We're all in it together. Well, we will all find the support and the guidance that we need with whatever way we can. And we have to see each other's strengths, because that's how we're going to all lift each other up. Otherwise, we're all going to be in this like hole, right? And I think August, if anything, showed us that things can get real hard. real complicated. And it's gonna really push us to go deep with our emotions and push us deep into really finding who we are and finding our strength. And this is why I'm coming up with this kind of topic and talking about it today, because it feels like that's within all of us. We may not have tapped into it. We may not see that fully yet, but it's there. And we're all these beautifully open, vulnerable beings. Maybe we're in that process, right? But that we can also, that can live alongside the strength and the empowerment. All of that can coexist at the same time, right? We can be strong, but we can also be vulnerable and flow, and we can feel, and we can let go, and we can lean on people, but we can also pick ourselves back up, right? I think that's the beautiful flow of energy of also the masculine and the feminine, right? That we can really coexist in both and flow effortlessly between the two. And I think also, I did a little video on Instagram the other day of saying, we just don't know what people are going through. We just don't. We can guess, we can assume, we can think, but we just don't know. And obviously this especially August, I think, was very difficult on a lot of us. And I did this little video saying, check in with people. How are they doing? How are you doing? Have compassion, empathy, and patience with yourself. This is also part of that journey. Because I think a lot of times when we expect so much from ourselves and others, it becomes something that pulls us away from ourselves, our essence, our energy, our power. And I think a lot of this need now is for us to feel back in our power, back in our strength. Be it that things get better or not, because we don't know what's going to happen. We all have our individual soul contracts, our own individual stories, our own individual lessons in this life. So nothing's set in stone for anybody, obviously. We have free will. But what better than to move through this energy with more openness, more vulnerability, but also with tapping into that strength so we can get through it with I don't know if it's with more ease, but it feels like with a more calm, empathetic, and caring energy towards ourselves and others. And obviously we all know we're all connected. We're not individual. We're not just one person. We're all connected energetically. So us being more in that energy individually, but as healers, as a person that goes into an office, a person that works with people, a person that has friends, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the context. Being in that energy will positively influence all of those connected to you. Be it that they're somebody you know or not. You just don't know the impact that you can have on somebody. And I think that's so beautiful to think about, of how we can help others around us, and our energy can bring this beautiful stillness of feeling like they can connect to your strength through you too, right? Hence why we don't disempower ourselves either, and we don't get into that victim role as much as we can, because it's not gonna benefit anybody. So yeah, just a thought. I think it's something I wanted to talk about for a while, and I thought this was a really good moment to talk about it, because I think a lot of us probably feel a bit disempowered, and I can tell you I felt like that a couple weeks ago. I was like in this energy of feeling a bit like things were out of control, and I think that really can be hard. That can feel really hard. But I always try to bring myself back and remind myself, look, you've been through these things. Like, you can get through this. You're going to be fine. And I think the responsibility we have towards ourselves in making sure that we are taking care of ourselves during those times, that we are reaching out to people when we need them, that we have that support system in place, and that we have, or if it's not even people physically, it could be a community, like we have a community. We have people that are constantly contacting and reaching out and saying, hey, I'm having a hard time. And people are sending love and light and strength, and we're all chatting through things. So yeah, it can be any way that you feel that you can connect with it. It's not one answer, one way. There's not one solution, right? And I truly think that it is our responsibility to really be in that energy, because otherwise, how are we going to get through things if we're not supporting ourselves first? It's always like the airplane thing. Put your mask on first, and then put your, if you're with a child or somebody next to you that can't put them on, you put it on first, because you're going to be able to better help people that way. And I think there's a lot of people listening on this podcast that are on this healing space of they're healers, they're intuitives, they're channelers, and you guys listen here not just because of the Akashic Records. You listen here because obviously there's something that connects us all, but also because there's lots of lessons in the things that we talk about here. I'm talking usually from my own experience as a reader and my journey with expanding on that and going into family constellations. And I think a lot of times it can become really, it can feel hard, right? It can feel hard for us to find the inner strength, but it's there. We just tap into it. And maybe there's moments that it ebbs and flows and we move through it differently, but always making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. And that obviously, I think, if anything, the last couple of years has shown us is that things can feel really hard, and some of us, it can feel hard to even get through it, right? So check in on those people. Make sure you're making those connections, because it feels like each of us individually can make that difference. You just never know. You never know. I've had quite a few readings in the last couple of weeks that have been super profound, emotionally speaking, but also where I've seen this energy come through, where it's, I can't do this anymore. This is really hard. I'm done. I'm finished. It's like, okay, that's okay. You feel that way, but there's more to this. You know that there's more inside of you. You're letting all of these ideas and these things get in the way, but there's something more to all this, and your strength is there. You're just maybe not seeing it right now. So we can help others see that strength and empower people. I think that's such a beautiful gift that we can do that for other people and ourselves. You can't even imagine the difference that can make in somebody's life of you seeing that and being able to show them that or say it. You just don't know, right? Obviously I do it more in an intuitive sense, but I can do that with friends, which is talking, right? Like, you just don't know. So yeah, it's a bit of a short little topic I wanted to bring up. And obviously when we talk about pour this or pour that, it's okay that we say that, but making sure we're not coming from a disempowering that person in their story, in their situation, and what they're going through. And if we do say that, it's okay. Yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying. It seems really hard. I don't know how you're getting through this, but you got this. You've been through so much. This is just something it's just like a little rock that you have to get over, right? And it could be a huge boulder. Even then, it doesn't mean that they're not capable of getting through it. And a lot of times, remember, a lot of this is coming through soul lessons, right? It's our soul needs that lesson, so we need it to be that hard so we can learn. And sometimes it's because we've probably been over the same rock over and over and over and over, and all of a sudden it's like, well, if you're not getting it this way, we're gonna have to show it to you this way, because that'll help you wake up. And a lot of times it does. I can say that from my own personal experience, but doesn't make it any easier, right? I will say a couple things before I sign off. First of all, I have my September workshop. So Sunday, September 17th, I'm doing the next workshop. I will be announcing a date in October and November during the month of September. So if you're not signed up to my newsletter, please do so. I will make sure I put that link in the show notes. So sign up, because that's where I first announce it, and then I'll announce it on my Instagram and Facebook. So also following on Facebook, Instagram, and the workshop basically is about healing and healing as a group. We basically have a couple of people that can raise their hand and bring forward a topic. There's representatives of energy, parts of ourselves, family members, and we move through things together as a group. And usually these sessions are around 2 hours. We went a bit over in the last group in October. Oh my gosh, in August. So yeah, be prepared to maybe for it to go over a little bit, at least half an hour. And then other than that, obviously just a reminder that Lucia and I each do one-on-one Akashic record readings. So we do those on Zoom, or I don't know what platform Lou uses, if she uses Google or Skype, but we do it virtually basically. So those are available. We'll put our contact information below. You can basically just go to our websites and go under readings, and there's a book button under my readings page and under Lucia's main page on our website. So it's super easy. For me, you'll email me and we'll coordinate it together. And I think that's about it. But also remember, it's the end of the year. And for me, if anybody, if you've worked with me, you've been following along for a while, end of the year is always when I start doing giveaways. So make sure you're following on Instagram, because those will start in October. So I usually do one, like a couple ones like October, November, and December. I do like 3 giveaways. And then sometimes, depending on during the year as well, a couple more. But end of the year is always when I do giveaways. If I don't do one in October, it'll be November, December. So yeah, make sure you're following, and subscribe to the newsletter, and then we will see you all next week with a new episode. Love you all. Bye.